Look at the adjective. Play.
And I have half the brain that you do. I told you. Hold on.
Now is the franchise going to take the Viagra?
Gonna put some butts in the seat.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 101 of Because WCW, the podcast where the big boys play. My name is the Twisted Genius Dean Ayers, and I am joined by my colleague, the DAZN sports journalist and Twitter blue tick wanker. It's Liam Happ. Oh, and sorry, blue tick wanker and failure at putting his daughter to bed because she's just done a run-in 30 seconds before we went on air. It's Liam Happ. How's that for you?
That was really me.
I mean, to be fair, you did then put Izzy on the mic, and I said you should do what your daddy says and go to bed, and she did just laugh at me. So she might as well have said "fuck you, fat man," because it was there was I had no authority there either.
Well, I'm glad I put her on the mic because, as it turns out, she's got better mic skills than you when you're managing.
Very much so.
Commentating.
Yeah.
Or podcasting.
I feel this has been a particularly mutually abusive start to the podcast.
This is why you should stay away from all mics, Dean, and this is probably why Mike White ran all the way up to the north. Back to the north to get away from you.
North.
Because he too is a mic and he should be well away from you.
Very much so. We're recording this on his birthday, so happy birthday, Mike.
Yeah, happy birthday, guy who disappeared off social media, which is like literally the only way I can communicate with people these days. So he might as well be just like on the planet Norg Bloop.
I hear the weather's lovely on the planet Norg Bloop.
Yeah, how many listeners have we got from there?
Are they part of the 0.17% from parts unknown?
That's what I'm telling myself now.
Yeah, maybe so. But well, we've had a busy few days.
Yeah, I think in between power naps, you attended the Hooked on all elite wrestling all out viewing party, which was a rousing success.
Yeah. Well, I had attended the night before. I had attended former podcast guest Sam Berry Gardner. He had his housewarming party, and I attended there and got hideously drunk and felt genuinely dead the next day, to the point that I have said I'm never drinking again, and haven't. And 4 days later, I haven't touched a drop. Yeah, that's not bad done.
I'm sure that will carry on because famously, everyone who says I'm never drinking again really sticks at it after the first week or two.
Yep.
Yep.
You know it. But yeah, I had to utilize the power nap to get through because AEW, we thought it was a 3-hour show. It went 4 hours. It didn't finish until. So bear in mind, if you're listening in America, or anywhere in that part of the world within that time zone, that the double or nothing, the all out pay-per-view that AEW presented last week started in the UK at 1 in the morning. 1 a.m. and it went on till 5 a.m. So yeah, we're in a bar in London where 150 people stayed up till 5 a.m. to watch the show and went absolutely apeshit when Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole came out.
Yeah, it's true. That's the lengths we'll go to watch like these big anticipated debuts at silly o'clock, but it was well worth it. The venue in Old Street is a cracking one. We get on really well with the staff there.
Yeah, brilliant.
All fun and games. There was a Chris Jericho Judas sing along. I just so happened to bring my Aviator Ray-Bans with me, so I couldn't help myself. As I'm starting to walk to the toilet, they've played the Pixie song, Where's My Mind, and I couldn't help but just put them on, put my hands in my pockets, and I somehow found myself roped into a really lame kickoff with some dude.
It was all kicking off, was it?
Yeah, literally, but
Yeah.
like in a really slow motion, pathetic, Mr. Burns-esque manner. That's who I like to think that Orange Cassidy's kicks are inspired by, Mr. Burns. Get ready for the beating of your life. Ugh. Remember that?
Yep, I do indeed.
Classic.
We like a Simpsons quote.
Oh yes.
And of course, yeah, this was Hooked on Wrestling, who our dear friends at Hooked on Wrestling who run these viewing parties, and of course we had a very special surprise guest turn up as well.
We did. It just so happened to be a member of the roster for the pay-per-view that we were watching, which was quite the development, wasn't it?
Indeed, yes, Anthony Ogogo came along. Very much last minute. We discovered that he followed Hooked on Wrestling on Twitter, so we invited him over, and once he got Uncle Tony's blessing, then he was over like a shot. Lovely bloke as well.
Yeah, lovely bloke, and a big opportunity for me as the manager of the DAZN website. We've
What?
got a boxer coming in, and we had one of my team lives in Chicago, and he attended the the event and the press conference. So yeah, we obviously got a bit of representation on the big wrestling events, and of course anything boxing related, especially when it comes to some exclusive quotes and some original content. We love a bit of that. So it was great to chat some boxing with old Anthony.
I tell you, folks, if you're listening right now, it was amazing. It was like watching, you know how you watch those nature documentaries and you see like the leopard or the lion pounce on the unsuspecting wildebeest,
Or Monty
based
Brown.
or Monty Brown, and so yeah, as soon as Anthony had finished like doing photos with fans on that, he turns around, goes to sit down. And Liam is there, leaping on him, not literally, and
Well,
I'm not the greatest lip reader in the world, but I did definitely read the words Liam DeZone
and reach
quotes
around.
and reach around coming from your lips, and yeah, but he was very accommodating, not
Not like that.
not like that in
Yeah, but
quotes.
here's the funny thing is I actually got in there before the photo opportunities with the attendees. Uh,
Oh, was it before? I
yeah, he
stand
he
corrected.
literally did
Even
his.
even more so, even more like the that poor wildebeest Anthony
Oh
Ogogo.
yes. Yeah, he strikes anyone who sees him, this massive, stocky, built, accomplished amateur and professional boxer who's now menacing the shit out of anyone who watches him on TV because he makes for a very good natural menacing heel.
Oh, very much
Yeah,
so.
he strikes you as a wildebeest. But no, he did his big arrival and everyone popped for it, and he was interviewed briefly by Stephanie Chase, who's the co-host of the event. And yeah, as that wrapped up, I went over. I said, "Let's do this." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm up for that. Gonna do some photos with the fans first, which is absolutely understandable." And then just before the pay-per-view started, he came up to our little VIP area. We'd had little corner, hadn't we? That I referred to as the Raven's Nest, because there's always got to be a WCW reference, because
Absolutely.
it's on that little just that little elevated corner of the pub. And yeah, and there's part two coming tomorrow. I can say it because I'm publishing this podcast as soon as we finish it, so I feel comfortable saying this. But we've just released some interesting quotes he had to say on Billy Joe Saunders, who obviously suffered a very similar ING to what put Anthony Gogo out of boxing. Billy Joe Saunders is now contemplating retirement after suffering his first career loss to Canelo Saunders, the Canelo Alvarez, sorry, Canelo Saunders, the current best boxer in the world, arguably. So it was good to talk to Anthony about that. And tomorrow he'll be picking a winner between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, assuming they ever fucking fight.
If they ever fight, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've mentioned before about the parallels between AEW and WCW, and it really did feel in the immediate aftermath of that show, with CM Punk returning to wrestling, with Bryan Danielson coming along, and to I mean a lesser degree Adam Cole is a big acquisition, but basically Punk and Danielson coming to that promotion. It feels I do get Hall and Nash vibes in the fact that we are seeing a seismic change in the wrestling industry in America.
Yeah, a little bit, and like with the Adam Cole thing, it's worth remembering. You get some of the ones who are more established names, but then you get the ones, and it's ironic because this was one guy who competed in the main event of the pay-per-view. But I get Christian Cage vibes from Adam Cole. Christian Cage's arrival in TNA in 2005 was a very, very big deal. Oh, I always argue it was bigger than Kurt Angle arriving and certain other big names because it given how we're used to seeing names get washed up by WWE and deemed surplus to requirements and allowed to go before the New World Order in WCW. That's exactly how Vince McMahon and company viewed the likes of Randy Savage, John Tension leaving. They didn't feel threatened by it. They felt like they were chewing them up and spitting them out, and
Yeah.
they were WWE rejects going over. Uh, but Christian Cage was that guy with a tremendous upside who was on his way up, who was over, who people wanted to see more of. And he had a flat choice, and in the cold light of day, he chose not WWE. And that is very rare. You can count on like one hand the amount of people who do that without extenuating circumstances that make they're released or they fall out with someone.
Yeah.
He had a flat choice, and he chose not WWE, the other company, in this case, All Elite Wrestling. And so that's what makes the Adam Cole one particularly exciting. As for the reference to, I've seen a lot of people. I think a guy I worked with when DAZN and Sporting News were in league. There's a senior writer there called Andreas Howe who's very much into his wrestling as well as fight sports. He referred to it as he said he got the vibes that this is their Bash at the Beach '96 moment. And my reply to
Mm.
him was, as long as Hangman Page challenging Kenny Omega is not their Starcade '97. I'm all for. I can see that, but yeah, for me, it's worth remembering that all that awesome stuff that happened on the pay-per-view. Not only were there so many major names who didn't even wrestle on it, that's one hell of a rotation they've got at their disposal. But the bit for me and for a lot of people, a lot of long-time wrestling fans who've been following and tracking this, the big one isn't even the arrival of these names. It's not even CM Punk's first match. It is the payoff to the Hangman Page Kenny Omega story. And if they do it
Yeah.
right, it will be what the Sting payoff with the New World Order should have been. We've talked at length about Starcade '97 here, and it will
Episode
be,
1. Yeah.
yeah, and it will be what the likes of CM Punk, the likes of Bryan Danielson, so many other passionate wrestling figures, John Moxley, so countless others,
Mm.
will all say they want to see these stars get made. So you get the impression that the Punks and the Moxleys backstage are probably thinking, no, don't put me in this position in favour of a Hangman Page because we're minted, we're named stars, we had our moment. This is his moment.
Yeah. Well, I think it was very, very telling that. I mean, I was talking to someone on Twitter this week, and I said, yeah, the difference is Hall and Nash were interested in putting themselves over and making themselves money, and they were, they were in it for themselves, as was Hogan, obviously. Whereas CM Punk, he's literally the first words that came out of his mouth in an AEW ring was putting over Britt Baker,
Yeah.
and he, and the match with Darby Allin obviously had to win, but Darby Allin looked fantastic in that match as well. And you don't get the impression that Punk or Danielson are gonna start giving it the big I am or demanding creative control in their contract. So I think in that respect it's a different situation, and hopefully, and dare I say it, a more positive outcome, and the wrestling industry has a can be getting a viable number two promotion and viable competition to WWE.
Absolutely, and that my impression going into all that was that you had two guys in Darby Allin and MJF, who are the young up and comers against, you know, in one instance a 40 something and the other instance a 50 something. Um, and you'd think the 101 of it, pardon the pun with our episode number, is, oh yeah, young guy needs to be put over, but they're two guys I look at that roster, and they've actually been extremely well protected. Some would say
Mm.
even to the point where it was flirting with being a little inorganic. And as you know, sometimes if you over push the guy people want to see pushed, it can lead to a gag reflex.
Yeah.
So I don't, given the terms of the storyline, i.e. MJF deserved a comeuppance against Jericho, and Darby Allin, I think, will have that thing where he will pursue a rematch and a chance to beat CM Punk, similar to how they made his draw with Cody Rhodes before Dynamite was even a thing. He had that draw with Cody Rhodes, and they made it like an albatross about him finally beating Cody Rhodes, and he did, and he won the TNT title, and that was a big thing. I can see there being a similar thing down the line. That will run a bit. And as for the Chris Jericho thing, I think I said to you at the pay-per-view screening, my theory is that he's actually going to retire anyway, and we're very close to another Dynamite, and I don't know who's speaking on that, or there could have future Dynamites where kind of say, but at some point soon, I think he actually is going to say, right, I am going to wrap it up. I'm just glad that it wasn't by losing to MJF. I'm going to go out on
Mm.
my terms, and my terms are that I wrestle the guy I wrestled in my very first match, the guy who's the special guest of episode 100 of
100
Because
law.
WCW. Now, given we've had Hoovy show up, we've got Chavo Guerrero playing a manager, we've had all these WCW cameos, I love them all, including the likes of Nagata and Kojima, who appeared from New
Yep.
Japan Wrestling back in the day. For me, absolutely, I would love to see that one particular nod, because let's face it, Lance Storm is always ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. One other thing that's really interesting. We will wrap this up here and go on to our watch on. But one thing that was really interesting as well was and I've just retweeted this on the Because WC. If you go to the Because WCW Twitter page, which is at Because WCW, there's a great video of basically the certain spots from the. Do you remember the Bret Hart 1 2 3
Yes,
Kid
that
match from
that
Monday Night
that
Raw?
video has been all round social. I'd be stunned
Yeah.
if anyone who listens to our podcast has not seen that. But yeah, it's a good. You're right. It's a great one.
Yeah. If you haven't, go just go onto our Twitter and have a look at that because it is so fascinating to watch and it's clearly not a coincidence. Let's put it like that. And what a great glowing tribute to Bret Hart as well. Absolutely fantastic.
Listen up, slap nuts. That's right. This is Jeff Jarrett, the chosen one, and you're listening to Because WCW. Now choke on that.
Anyway, we have got a Nitro to watch. It is the episode dated the 29th of July 1996. So I mean, it's been a while, hasn't it? But
It
the last
has.
episode we saw, we're all in the Disney MGM Atlanta '96 Olympics phase. Um, but last time around, we had a match between Dean Malenko and Chavo Guerrero. We had Eddie Guerrero and Psychosis, and our main event was Luger, Savage, and Sting against a four horseman team of Arn Anderson, Chris Benoit, and Steve McMichael, which was very much conspicuous by the absence of Ric Flair. So this week we are, as I said, we're back in the MGM Grand, the Disney MGM Studios. Whether or not we'll see a leprechaun or not, I don't know. But we
Fingers
we are
crossed.
we are getting another six-man tag between the three baby faces from the WCW team on Bash at the Beach '96, and the four horsemen this time with Ric Flair. So yeah, that should be good. So yeah, we are. As I said, this is July 29th, '96. If you want to watch along with us, the timing, as always, Liam, is on 000000. Are
Yes,
you ready for
six
some?
zeros. Yeah, you spot on.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. I've been practicing. Are you ready for some burning buildings?
I'm ready for some burning buildings.
Then we will press play in three, two, one, go.
And there's a spark and there's some burning. Still yellow and red Hulk Hogan as well.
Ah, yes.
I wonder how long we should do a regular running count of how long it takes them to change that.
Very good point. It'd be ages, probably.
Yeah, because he's very much not wearing yellow and red anymore.
Indeed, he isn't. So we start, as always, in the daylight of the MGM Grand. I keep saying the MGM Grand of the Disney MGM Studios.
Fuck's sake, Dean. But yeah, I like this. We've discussed this before. This whole day into dusk thing. I like this for the show.
It reminds me of SummerSlam '92.
Yeah, WrestleMania 3.
All of the recent stadium WrestleManias.
Yeah, but they all suck. So let's go back to the really cool events we were talking about.
So we've got the Giant defending the world title against Arn Anderson, and we've got Rey Mysterio defending the Cruiserweight Championship. I didn't catch who he was defending against there.
I heard
But
Eddie
we've got
Guerrero mentioned. Was that for that match or something else?
maybe it was Eddie Guerrero then, or yeah, I didn't catch who it was. Sorry, but and Shivani and Larry Zbysko are already talking about the unmerciful attack that they're getting from the NWO. Because that's right, we saw before they broke into the TV control truck, didn't they, last time?
Yeah, it was a bit tame. They're really talking this up, but obviously we know more is yet to come.
Mm. I mean, it is tame, I guess, with 2021 eyes, where we've seen like the ring getting ripped up and Justin Roberts choked with his tie. But I guess in '96, you didn't see behind the curtain like that.
No, I mean even then though, if you remember, they spent most of it trying to be funny, which is just what Kevin
Mm,
Nash does, I
that's true.
suppose.
And we have now some kind of like homemade video footage of the Outsiders last Saturday. Oh, what's that?
Mm.
Luger and Stinger leaving the arena.
Well, they secretly filming him or something.
Mm. Luger's been called away for an important phone call. Couldn't happen these days.
Yeah, how's he know it's important? It could have been just like a wrong number.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
And
Sneak
so this
attack.
is now the Outsiders with whoever their cameraman is. I mean, this is basically the precursor to happy slapping, isn't it?
Yeah, there's very much a Horseman and Dusty vibe to this, isn't there?
Yes, definitely.
It's
So
like,
yeah, so Luger's been called away, Sting's been beaten up.
does this mean Luger is in cahoots with them? Tune in to next week's Nitro to find out.
What's the deal, Liam? We're told Sting is okay. He sustained minor injuries.
Shivani's
So
it.
Shivani is outraged,
Yeah, calling them
as is
cowards.
Zabisco. Yeah.
He's
Larry
having none of
Zabisco,
it.
a career-long heel, or not quite career-long, but you know what I mean, a very long-term heel, is disgusted by heels acting like heels.
Yeah, it was always a bit funky at first with Zabisco. He would play the heel on commentary, but when an outsider segment came up, since the start of the 2 hour era, he would suddenly turn sixpence. Took a bit of time to get used to, but obviously now we know where this is going. We know his involvement in this feud, so.
Yeah. So here comes Mike Enos, no longer the Mauler, and they've just said on commentary, no longer with Colonel Robert Parker.
But still with that really crappy music he was given by Parker, which does not suit him at all.
No. And here comes Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I'm hoping, because I have a memory somewhere deep in my brain of a promo after Hogan turned with Duggan in the MGM arena, Disney MGM Studios, and he says something like, "Hulk Hogan, you smoked my children." And I'm hoping that this is the match where after this match he does a promo with Mean Gene.
You do realise, even if it is this match and this promo, it's going to end up being one of them situations where we hear it again. It turns out it sounds nothing like that.
Oh God, yeah.
But then we're just going to pretend that's what he said anyway, because
I seem to remember having this on having it on the VHS because someone recorded Nitro for me because I didn't have satellite TV myself, and me and my mate who were watching it, we just rewound this and kept laughing.
Well, it looks like the wait is almost over, Dean. We're about to find out, surely.
Well, Enos is starting out on the offense. Enos hasn't even got his waistcoat, his leather waistcoat off, and Duggan's already made a comeback, and he's clotheslined Enos over the top rope.
Yeah,
And Enos's offense is all for nothing because it's now Duggan in charge.
yeah. I mean, I'm aware that that's like a visual effect some wrestlers deliberately do when they bump around still with their out of gear on. But the context here is weird. The match has kind of just started. He's basically just really tawdry and getting ready for the match. It's one thing if like, do you know, if the guy still wearing his entrance gear was sneak attacked, you know, I don't know.
He's taken it off now, and and for I know they've obviously had some dark matches before, but for a first match on TV to get the crowd up, Hacksaw Jim Duggan is the perfect guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean at this juncture and to an extent, even when he was in his prime, this is what he is. What he does in the ring is very basic. He's not going to draw you into the body of a competitive match. He's going to put a smile on your face.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, isn't it, where people seem to think that being in the opening match is like a slap in the face, and actually, it's as we've said so many times when we talk about the art of the opener, it is a science all to itself, isn't it, of getting the crowd in the right place.
Yeah, I like to think that myth has long been dispelled, at least amongst like hardened wrestling watchers who watch a fair amount. There's a lot of things that your casual audience will wrongly think, but the stigma of being in the opener is the least of their worries, really. But yeah, for the most part, people appreciate now what an opening match means, and it is fun going into some of the details of that whenever we do the pay-per-view reviews. But very much applies to TV as well to an extent.
Mm. Especially with this kind of audience, where I've said it's not necessarily a big wrestling fan audience. It is quite a cold audience of holidaymakers.
Yeah, your Duggins become gold dust in this situation. Though not literally the
Not
guy
quite
on the
that.
other channel, but their value is like gold dust because you need. I'm actually now I think about it, I'm actually shocked they didn't have him early on the card of all of these nitros, given that he works a very a lethargic pace. His matches don't go past 8 minutes normally. Why not just have
Mm.
him open up all of these Disney tapings? Oh, Enos with some offense.
Yep. Duggan charging into the corner. Enos getting his knees up. Now he's celebrating and making a cover as Duggan was getting up anyway. Bit odd.
Yeah, it's a rough match, but then this is the trickiest part of it in that they're working the heat. And yeah, as you can tell by the sound of the fans, they're chanting the USA's, but not really getting into the oh no, he might be in danger here. He's not in danger.
Yeah. It does. It feels now like this is red. This should have finished around about now, time wise.
Absolutely. This is more like a sing along to the fans than it is like a dramatic wrestling match. But God
So
bless Larry
Enos has got.
Sabisco for trying to analyse the chin lock.
Yeah, Duggan is in a kind of a chin lock sleeper hold from Enos, but Duggan's now got to his feet, and you get the feeling that the end is nigh here. Several punches to the midsection of Enos, which the ref is doing nothing about.
Yeah. Babyface Duggan shoving the ref shortly after he tapes his fist or whatever else he does. We've been over this over previous nitros, haven't we? It's
We have.
ridiculous.
And we've got the heat now. Enos once again on top, and the crowd are chanting USA, or some of the crowd are chanting USA.
He's doing his well, what's the Duggan version of hulking up?
I'm not sure, but I know
Doofusing
exactly
up?
what you mean.
Oh,
Oh, both men go down from a double shoulder tackle.
again, this match should have finished yesterday.
it
This is dragging
is
on.
it is taking its own sweet time, isn't it?
Even the fans who were pumped for Duggan and his shtick are now starting to have like existential crises in the crowd. Oh, a sunset flip. Hacksaw Jim
Don't see that
Duggan
often.
with the sunset flip. I'm a fan. Oh, listening to Schiavone speculating about empty seats, saying they're
Yeah,
for the NWO, but in fact, maybe they're just empty because you can't sell out.
or maybe someone's just late getting to the venue.
Yeah, isn't that normally where the fighting family sits from last ones? Where they're like
Yeah,
too busy play fighting to watch a show.
yeah, that was last week. Yeah,
Maybe things escalated.
yeah.
they're
Maybe they're going to be fighting in the second hour.
they're in families therapy, hitting each other with mallets like in The Simpsons.
I was just about to say, like the Simpsons electrocuting each other.
Yeah,
Oh, Enos has missed the top rope splash, and you've got to think, surely this is it.
you
Duggan's
say
getting
that they'll
to his
go another
feet.
10 minutes.
Oh,
Don't jinx it.
come on, Duggan. Was it a 3-point stance, isn't it? He does.
And
This
he's
is still
hulking up
going on.
again. He's
He,
doofusing up again.
but he's kind of doing even when he's hulking up, he looks like he can't be bothered.
He just looks off his face on marijuana.
Maybe he's been smoking Hulk Hogan's children. Nope.
Well,
Enos is back on offense.
I was
What
going to
the
say
fuck?
he's.
Has someone in the back not turned up? Have they just been told just keep fighting, lads,
This is Joe.
till Rey Mysterio turns
This
up?
is the 2 hour Nitro. You realise that, right? Oh, look, here's babyface Jim Duggan taping up his fist. He's shoved the ref. He's taped up his fist. What is wrong with professional wrestling, Dean? Seriously, what is wrong with this
Why
rancid industry?
why would why would taping your fist make a punch any more effective? Surely, like when you tape your fist in boxing, it's to protect your own hand, not make your punches more effective.
It
And
is,
also,
which
as I'm
allows
sure we've said
you.
before, it's a closed fist, which is illegal.
Yeah,
Oh,
close
I
fist.
see Mean Gene approaching the ring. I
Oh, here
think
we
he's
go.
getting ready to ask Jim Duggan about smoking Hulk Hogan's children.
Stay tuned,
Or,
sports fans. This is the moment we've all
or,
been waiting for.
or sorry, Hulk Hogan smoking Duggan's children.
So while we're watching the replay, real quickly, the idea is by as you said, you can protect your fists, but without the gloves, that just means you can really put everything into it and not worry about breaking your hand. Also, the
Right.
idea is if you put in a big enough volume about it, it's glorified knuckle dusters. But he's just flimsily put like a couple of layers around his fingers.
He hasn't even put one complete layer.
Nah,
Here we go. Come on, it's Mean Gene and Duggan.
don't let us
Come on,
down,
don't let me
Gino.
down. Oh, even Mean Gene said it's highly questionable. Here we go.
At
They
least
talk about the New World
someone's.
Order. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Is this it? Oh, everyone's
What have you
wondering,
done?
what have you done, Hulk?
He's let his
Oh,
fans down.
they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have believed in him. Make a Wish
He's talking about
Foundation.
himself.
To be fair, this is a good promo so far.
This is a very good promo. Here we go. I think that might be it.
You've got
First
jumbled up, haven't
words,
you?
the first words she spoke were Hulkster. Oh man, I'm disappointed now. I clearly was drunk and misremembered it, if that's a
You
word.
did. The first word my kid spoke was Hulkster. So that's bollocks
That's
for a start. The other thing he
but
said is, Hulk, you're a great technical wrestler, but I don't want to wrestle you. I want to beat you up. Which would have been a great line if not for the fact that Hulk Hogan is a technical wrestling, what I am to diets.
well, I suppose compared to Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Hulk Hogan is a great technical wrestler.
Well, yeah. All right.
By the way, do you want to take a guess how long that match went?
No, I don't want to think about that match again.
7.5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Do you know
Seven
what?
minutes, 30 seconds.
The weird thing is I actually said about how he never goes over 8 minutes, and that
Yeah.
match felt overly long. Like he broke that protocol. As it turns out, it's not a case of Jim Duggan shouldn't go over 8 minutes. It's a case of Jim Duggan probably shouldn't go over four.
Yeah.
Jeebus.
We've now got some weird like WCW Saturday Night Terminator style robot
Trying to be
flesh.
futuristic. WCW is about
Yeah.
as futuristic as I'm good at diets. I'm not going to use any other analogies now.
Ted Turner trying to be futuristic.
Yeah, blame Ted
There's Mickey
Turner. Worked for
Mouse.
Vince.
Yeah, we've just had a close up of Mickey Mouse standing on the world,
But this is
and
Ric Flair's music, so will we actually see him? Because he was persona non grata last week.
well, he will be because Arn Anderson's in the main event against. He's challenging the Giant for the world title. So we have now got Ric Flair, Chris Benoit, and Steve McMichael.
Here he is.
And woman is dressed in a white business suit, and she basically looks like she's just come back from some kind of international raking the
Scarface
eyes
convention.
conference.
She's
I was
been
going
to
to
a
say raking the
Scarface,
eyes conference.
rake in the eyes
Yeah, Scarface.
conference.
Yeah, like how to cheat in wrestling matches. Our guest speaker for today is woman.
Well, how to cheat in wrestling matches and how to cheat in matrimony because of what happened. Can I say that?
Hey, they were just working. They were just working the angle.
Just working the angle.
Or this is the third time they've pushed that the Giant and Arn Anderson are fighting, and I don't know if anyone believes that Arn Anderson can win this.
I don't know. I'd like to see Arn Anderson the world champion.
Oh, I'd love to see it, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen. Here comes Sting, and as you can see, he's not selling the injuries from getting beaten up on the outsiders one bit.
Yeah, kind of renders it all moot, doesn't it?
Yep,
Unless he suddenly undoes his Colonel Pepper jacket or whatever it's called,
Sergeant
uh,
Pepper, and
and
he's
he's
taped up
suddenly
his
got
ribs.
DDP taped ribs.
And
Oh, here we go.
Flair, Savage went straight for Flair, and it's all got a bit crazy already. They're brawling at ringside.
It's good to know
I
that
think they're
business is
brawling
as
into those
usual, though.
fans. Well, I don't know if you know this or if you've heard about this, Liam, but the Macho Man is out of control.
Well, that's true. But with regards to his tag team partners, what's the deal with Sting and Luke? That just not going to wash anymore. I'm going to miss that. I'm really going to miss it.
They're all going to miss it. Sting hasn't taken his jacket off yet, so we don't even know if his ribs are taped or not. Savage still got his jacket on.
This is
I'm
wild.
almost. I was going to say I'm looking forward. No, I'm demanding some Ric Flair shithousery.
Well, yeah, I don't care if there's new heel kids on the block. We want Ric Flair to be the glorious 1996 Ric Flair he has been so far, and the Ric Flair that a lot of people really forget. You know, people talk about 89 Ric Flair, Iron Man Ric Flair. Fuck no, give me knock someone out cold with brass knuckles in the middle of the ring, drag them over to the ropes so I can put feet on the ropes, and then rake their eyes after the 3 count has been registered and the bell was rung. Flair. Any day of the week.
Absolute legend. So we're just having another Glacier promo, and we now get to see the man, see what he looks like.
That's true, but settle
They,
in with those promos because they're going to run for a little bit.
oh yeah. So it looks like our referee, is that Nick Patrick? I think it is. Our referee has got control.
And the ladies at ringside are so relieved that even Elizabeth is showing some personality and smiling.
Sting does not have his ribs taped. You failed us all, Liam.
Oh. See, does this mean some overweight, over the hill dude is going to run a podcast rivaling our Watchalongs to rant about how he's killing the business?
So I thought when you said an old overweight dude, I thought you were talking about me.
No, because I said over the hill, whereas with
Oh,
you, you're way over the hill. Sorry,
there was never a hill to begin with.
that's very true.
Yeah, it's
A
Flair v
hill? No
Sting.
way, I'm getting the bus. But I mean, this should be a good match at least, compared to what we just had to endure.
Until Mongo gets in.
I don't know. Well,
Flair
maybe we'll
does the
get a couple
Flair
of
flip and
gifts.
walks straight into a right hand from Luger. And
The banquet
Shivani's just
table.
referred, yeah, he's just referred to the VIP table as the banquet table as the VIP area. It's not, it's Ric Flair's banquet table. He's just been hit with a plate of fruit by the Macho Man. There is fruit all over the ringside area. And to be quite honest, Liam, this is a health and safety nightmare.
And it's also 4 of your 5 a day.
Yes.
But I got to say, these guys they do combinations of essentially the same match and they entertain every time. So I'm a fan.
I've just got to give credit to Shivani, who just said, how often have you seen a man run into a gorilla press slam to get out the way of a fruit tray? And now it's Flair v Savage. And so, and there you go, shithousery number 1. Ric Flair just went out, left the ring to kiss Elizabeth on the lips in front of Savage.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, we've if we're being super strict, Dean, we've talked about how this feud has run on long enough. Obviously, there's bigger and better things for the overall bigger picture of the company on the horizon, and yet you can just watch these two go at it, especially when they are portraying like raised stakes, and it never gets dull.
Never. Flair's just gone. Flair's just walked to the back of the bleachers, begging off. Oh, he's basically at the entranceway. He's by the big tree in the middle of the entranceway.
Yeah,
I bet they hate that tree, don't
I don't know. I mean, well, I like it, and that's all that matters, basically.
they? Never mind that shit. Here comes Mongo.
Right, here comes some gifts for Twitter.
Mongo v Luger, by the looks of things.
Now the thing is, this match obviously has been action packed. You don't fancy him to keep up with the tempo, but with a character based entertainment, we know Mongo can do that.
Well, I think if they just keep the wild brawling up, they'll be absolutely fine. But
He
he
can
looks like
ham it
at the
with the
moment,
best of them.
yeah, he's trying to wrestle them at the moment.
But yeah, I suppose they're doing it's Mongo and Luger, so I suppose they're doing the cliche power versus power in a multi man tag.
Yeah, they're the power guys of the teams, basically.
And to be fair, if you are going to do a straight up wrestling segment, that's one that's pretty easy to coach someone. I feel like if I spent an
Oh no!
after
Oh shit! He just tripped over his own feet and went through the middle ropes, and that was
uh,
literally, I think he was just being whipped into the ropes.
I was just about to try and say something defense. My point would have been that if I spent the afternoon with like you, Doug Williams, a couple of other really seasoned guys, I feel like I could learn the one of these basics, like power versus power, shoulder block sequences, in
Mm.
an afternoon. And apparently Mongo, who's now been training for several months, still can't keep his
Well,
footing.
he just lost his footing, and I mean that could, in all seriousness, that could have been pretty nasty. But thankfully he landed okay.
Yeah, that
Second
sort of.
press slam for Ric Flair.
Are we counting those again? That's a '95 Nitro Watchalong classic. It's been a long
So
time
says
since
yes.
we've
Sorry, go for it.
big suplex. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I was caught out by amazing suplex as well, but no, I think it's been a long time since we've busted out the over under on the gorilla presses.
Yeah.
He's at 2. Shall I put it at 3.5?
So now it's Benoit v Luger.
And so say it's the most quiet the fans have got. But Savage is picking. Now, there's a sequence you could probably do. Have they run a singles match yet, Benoit and Savage? They might have.
I don't know. I think they may have done. It ended up in all manner of interference, but I might
Yeah.
be wrong.
Oh, they're talking about the bounty on Chris with the layers of the storytelling at the minute. Dean Malenko, if you recall, has been randomly attacking Chris Benoit. He's attempting to cash in a Dungeon of Doom bounty. So there's all this
Ah,
hill stuff, and then we've got the New World Order as well on top of that.
yeah,
It's very New Japan-esque with a lot of tweener factions who all hang out together and dislike every other faction. Reminds me a little bit of
mm.
that.
Flair's gone up to the top rope with Sting. This can only end badly, and it is going to end in a superplex.
Oh, a top rope superplex. Oh, yes. Oh, other than Mongo frightening us all there for a second, this has been good stuff.
Yeah, I mean
Is it?
Flair's taken these big bumps, and I'm trying to think. He would have been what, mid-40s at this point.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder. I wouldn't know from at the time, but did 1996 have anyone whinging incessantly about how they're diminishing the value of wrestling holds? Because there's been a lot of big high impact vertical suplexes, the top rope superplexes. Ric Flair's basically just tagged out. It's not like it was a big. And at the time, like a top rope superplex in 1996 is a pretty high spot,
Yeah,
especially as you said for
definitely.
mid 40s. But he's rolled out and he's recovering. And I'm someone who I'm a bit sick of Canadian destroyers like the next person. But I feel like
Yes.
some of the criticism is OTT.
Benoit v Sting. This would be a good combination. And this is what you want from a six-man tag: frequent tags and fast-paced action, because no one's in there too long to get themselves tired. So everyone is absolutely on their A game as far as impact and energy goes.
And thus they're in a better position to go long compared to like Jim Duggan and Mike Enos.
Yeah. So it is Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. You're right. That is the match
Yeah,
that we'll be getting
it
later on, and what a match that's going to be.
it did throw me off a little bit. Main reason being is it'd be weird watching white meat babyface Eddie Guerrero challenge Ray. We're so used to the great feud they had when Eddie turned heel in
Mm.
1997, but this will be interesting. So this one, they're doing all the tropes. It's been decent so far. They've dropped the speed a little bit. Sting getting the heat on him, but no,
Yeah.
this is a big time, and this is early in the show. We've seen this sort of event, main event nitros, many a time.
Well, this with one change in personnel, this was the main event of the last week's Nitro.
Yeah, exactly. Which again, it feels like so long ago.
Which does make me wonder if we're up against a live Raw or something.
I'm sure you
Anything
have
to
the
say?
answers for us very soon, Dino. Sting is doing his growl and his pose while in the figure four. I like that. He's probably done that
Nice.
before, but I like that.
No, the this was not a live Raw. The Raw was live the week before. This was taped.
Ah.
But of course, don't forget that at this point in time, Raw was 1 hour, Nitro is 2 hours. So put a strong first hour on and keep your fans for the second hour.
This is true. And obviously they've got a lot of suspense on their side with the New World Order bound to be on the show later, etc., etc.
Yep.
It's a good time to watch, and we've documented with these watch-alongs, Dean, just how enjoyable most. There were certain periods and certain characters, such as Hulk Hogan in the red and yellow, that were unbearable, but the majority of these shows have been very enjoyable in '96. So they've had that plus the New World Order on top of it.
Yeah. And interesting to what you were saying earlier, because Larry Zabisco just on commentary said, "I never liked Nick Patrick anyway. He's always been a jerk because he was not favouring the heels as Zabisco wanted him to."
And yet, as irony would have it, Nick Patrick would end up becoming the NWO's referee.
Yes. Jimmy Hart. Oh,
Oh, is this? This
this
is
is the
going to be
Jimmy.
the famous moment, isn't it? You remember the Guy Evans book,
We
don't you?
have, yeah, we have a very panicked Jimmy Hart saying, "Please get a camera to the back. The outsiders, we need help." So
Yeah. So I've
is
got a
this
funny feeling
the lawn dart moment?
this is the big invasion, and reading about that in Guy Evans' book just adds so many more dimensions. Jimmy Hart's back telling them all to stop wrestling,
So what
and it's not working so far.
remind us what Guy Evans said in his book.
He's trying to appeal to Lex. He has history with Lex.
Yeah.
Lex kind of finally told him to hit the road, but he's listening to Jimmy. Sting's skeptical.
Oh, we got camera. Anderson's down. The outsider's got baseball bats.
Is that Marcus Bagwell?
Yeah. There's Scotty Riggs of the other half of the American males. He's just got smacked in the head with a is that a water bottle?
Oh,
A
here's
big
Ray.
giant water bottle. Here's Rey
And there
Mysterio.
goes
Yeah,
Ray.
gets caught by Nash and lawn darted into the trailer. Yeah,
That is a great bump.
that is legendary, Bob. Absolutely. So,
And
remind us, what did
Zabisco
Guy
with a
Evans
call
say
threw
about
him like a dart.
when we spoke to him?
And straight back in the limousine. Here's Savage.
Ah, Savage on the. So the car is driving off with Randy Savage on the roof.
Because as you know, Randy Savage is crazy.
He's out of control.
I'm imagining, Dean, that like as he's doing that spot, that Hall and Nash are holding him for safety because he's got his arms in the sunroof of the limo,
Oh.
like he's trying to get at them. Flair's checking on Arn.
Oh, is Elizabeth actually reacting?
She's got her hands up on her cheeks like Kevin from Home
Yeah.
Alone. Does that count?
Yeah, I just realised that the person screaming somebody call an ambulance is woman.
And someone else was saying, what can they just come in here and do whatever they want? So there's like outrage and concern. It's really well done.
Mm.
Eddie Guerrero checking on the man he was due to challenge for the cruiserweight title.
Yep. Arn Anderson is conscious and very angry and in pain.
Because do you remember the Arn Anderson promo that came after this?
No.
I won't spoil it, but it was one of his best ever. So him being more angry than hurt, but obviously he's selling the injury as well. Remember that because we're going to get some Arn Anderson greatness from this.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a fly on the wall view of this chaos, and it feels like the entire show, excuse me, the entire show is now in disarray because we've lost our cruiserweight title match. We've clearly lost the challenger for the world title that was being hyped, and that explains why it was being hyped so heavily. Here comes an ambulance, hopefully not being driven by Kevin Nash. Oh no, it's a fucking fire engine. Why have you got a fire engine? How are they going to help?
First available, I suppose.
Is Arn Anderson on fire? No. Is Arn Anderson stuck up a tree? No. Then why have we got the fire department here?
Double A's on fire. Baby faces terrified.
Double
That works.
Yeah.
But this is like nothing else. Credit where it's due. This is, yeah, this is attention grabbing stuff. And you would not
Well,
want.
yeah,
Oh,
this
go on.
I was going to say this kind of thing had never been done before, to my
Oh,
knowledge.
here's the ambulance. But
Here's
no,
the ambulance.
you really wouldn't want every episode, and certain people did not learn this. You don't want every episode of a weekly show to be like this. It
No.
takes the effect away. But to be able to do something like this is pivotal. This is remembered so well because the following weeks won't be exactly like this. Whereas you think of 99 2000 WCW, where this crazy stuff's happening like every 5 minutes, and none of
Yeah.
it sits in your memory.
Mongo shouting, "There's going to be some justice
Going
here."
by that high pitched angry voice of him and the way he's getting all hysterical, I'm going to hazard a guess that he was the hysterical male I was referring to earlier.
Clearly.
The one saying these guys just come in and do whatever they want and things like that. He's saying about, oh, can someone get a bit of paper or so, or why is someone looking for a bit of paper? Just all crazy stuff.
And we've got no real commentary. We've got no matches. This is just so what we're getting is that the outsiders have disrupted the entire show for they and they've done a disservice to WCW. They've screwed up their headline show.
Most interesting is that, like, in I think 4 out of 5 post Bash at the Beach invasion things the outsiders have done, Hollywood Hogan has not been involved yet. He only that one at the end of one particular episode where he got them to attack Big Bubba Rogers.
And he sprayed NWO on him.
Yeah, which really paints a picture that Hall and Nash they are the ones wanting to create some havoc and flip things over here. Hulk Hogan's massively on the bandwagon. He wants to make sure he gets the belt back.
Now, Rey Mysterio has just said to Eddie Guerrero, there were 4 guys, man. You've got to let them know there were 4 guys. And so, yeah, Shivani just saying there's a 4th man.
Which is a weird way of going about it, given that Rey Mysterio was the one that kind of came out of the trailer. Wasn't it? He came out after. If he was one of the first ones to be attacked, that'd make sense. But we saw all of Rey Mysterio's involvement with our eyes.
Uh,
So where did he
unless
see a fourth man?
unless he saw a fourth man before he jumped in, but then he probably would have been able to recognise him. I don't
Yeah,
know.
either that or because he's been
We're putting far too
darted
much
head
thought into
first, he's seen double.
this.
Given that we didn't even see a third man.
No.
Hulk Hogan's too busy, like sitting with his feet up, lighting a cigar with $100 bill, waiting for the title to be put back on him.
Yeah. Alex Wright is trying to tell Eddie Guerrero to go and have his match, even though his opponent's just been loaded into an ambulance. But yeah, you're right. They're saying there's 4 of them, but yeah, we're saying we only saw 2. Hogan nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
So this is the tease for. Well, this would be DiBiase, won't it? Is the 4th man? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. It's yeah, I'm still in a bad way though. Oh, this is dragging on a bit now, isn't it? But
Yeah,
then if
but I
I've
think
got no
that's good.
matches left,
It's good, yeah. It's good that it's dragging on because it's like it comes across as a bit to me. It comes across as a bit more legit because like well we've just had our entire show screwed up. What we meant to show.
yeah,
So it feels like they're going to have to cobble together a show with the remaining wrestlers.
yeah, it's the one view is dragging on a bit. You'd think they'd get like someone put a mic in front of someone to try and
Yeah.
keep people's attention. But obviously, benefit of hindsight, we know this went down like gangbusters. So,
Oh, what have we
oh,
got? We've got Meng and Benoit face to face. I
obviously,
don't know why.
the dungeon and the horseman just don't get along. There's a lot of conflicting people here. Most of them are obviously focusing on the bigger threat here, but Benoit and Meng are struggling to get out of each other's faces, and that might, even though Benoit's wrestled in a 6-man tag, that might lead to an impromptu match to tie
And
into the
yeah,
fact that the script's been ripped up.
and look how fucking awesome woman is in looking really concerned and really beside herself as to what's happening. He goes, Shivani just said we don't really know what to do at this point.
No, I mean the only thing about this is obviously it's a little bit lost on this tourist audience, as you said.
Yeah, but I guess you've got to think of the bigger picture with the TV audience.
No, absolutely. It worked out in the long run. We know that much.
Yeah. So we've gone to a break, and this is so we've now got Bischoff and Heenan.
It's gone through the changeover.
Mm.
That adds some effect. Oh wow. Heenan with a great little thing here. Heenan dropping the whole persona to say
Mm.
unsafe working environment, basically.
This is great. Bobby Heenan, yeah, as you say, out of character. He is saying about his neck and nerve damage, and he said he can't have his security guaranteed, and he is walking out.
Yeah. And Bischoff weren't even trying to protest. He's like, you do what you got to do.
Mm. Great line there from Shivani. I tell you what, buddy, the wheels are falling off here.
Yeah, one of those classic moments where a wrestling company acts like everything's falling apart, but in fact it's coming together nicely. The
Mm.
other one that springs to mind is Vince McMahon telling Steve Austin, "You ruined everything" when he fought with
Yes.
Tyson.
Yeah. And yeah, this is interesting because this, you think about it, it's the very beginning of bringing a little bit of either real life or presenting something as real life
Yeah.
into wrestling. because not long before this, I think I'm right in saying, do you remember on Raw where you had that angle where Shawn Michaels collapsed from after he'd had been beaten up by
Yeah, I
those
was
Marines?
considerably before this. I want to say like very
Yeah,
end of '95.
yeah. So this, that was a good, good several months before this. Now we've seen this where we've got basically baby faces and heels all together backstage as WCW wrestlers because their show has been disrupted. You've got Heenan breaking character and talking about his injuries and leaving, and it's this is a change you would never previously have seen anything like this before.
And not breaking character in the cliche, hackneyed, tawdry way that got overdone in years following this.
Yeah,
He literally,
no,
everything about who Bobby Heenan is to us as a wrestling personality stayed. It wasn't betrayed by what he did. But he
no.
said, "I'm not
I'm
going to stay here and be where I'm in danger."
Yeah, he
This
said
is a
I'm not
guy.
going to do a wrestling interview. I'm going to talk to you man to man, and that was really good.
Yeah, and he's doing it because he did move from commentary to managing because he couldn't really afford to get physically involved anymore. So the element of realism protects what we know, and that means he can go back to being Bobby the Brain Heenan whenever he wants, presumably when the New World Order aren't running roughshod.
Yeah. So we've gone an awful long time. I didn't look at the time on the clock, but
Boring chances. So see what I said
boring
about
time.
the
Yeah,
live crowd though. Again, benefit of hindsight. Schiavone and Bischoff are kind of sympathising with them, rolling with the punches, and the ends justified the means. This was revolutionary. This people remember this.
yeah. I forgot it went on this long, but I certainly remember things like Savage leaping on the limo and the lawn dart Rey Mysterio bump.
Well, this ties back to what I was saying. There's absolutely things they could have done to break the monotony without breaking the unexpected nature. That Bobby Heenan thing is one. They could have got like Luger or Mongo. Mongo would have been a great choice. He was hysterical. He could have hijacked a position and gone on a massive rant. They could have done a little bit more of the Benoit Meng thing or similar things. We could have seen other baby faces and heels kind of maybe having a bit of a chat and kind of a bit of a truce under the circumstances. They could have filled out a little bit more to keep us, as in not just me and you, but the audience at large, keep us keep our attention if you are going to
Yeah,
run this long. But these are minor criticisms, and there's nothing wrong with minor criticisms if you don't make them out to be the be all and end all, as long as you don't add things like dead by Labor Day at the end of it.
yeah. And I think something else that I don't know if they're going to do this, but something else that will be good to do to kind of put over the what I presume is going to be the makeshift nature of the rest of the show. Let's have someone who's already wrestled tonight wrestle again
That's what I
because
think the
there isn't
Benoit Meng
anyone.
thing might have been. Without the benefit of having looked up this, I've not double checked what happened. I can't remember this episode that strongly from a recent watch. So I'm assuming completely eyes closed here that,
Yeah,
that we
Bi-
could see Benoit and Meng based on that little
maybe.
interaction, that skirmish.
Well, well, Bischoff has just said on commentary they're trying to put together a standby match because we've lost our cruiserweight title match, we've lost our heavyweight title match.
Which is a great way of putting it. 'Cause we've lost our title matches. They've gone for the prestige of the company. They've not just looked to hurt people, and obviously, like you got Arn, Bagwell, Mysterio getting loaded into ambulances. They've done damage, but they've also damaged WCW and the way they run
Yeah,
the show.
yeah. And then another thing that we just said there, Bischoff referred to Bagwell not as Marcus, but Mark Bagwell, and said that Sting is there with him, that they're good friends, and that Bagwell works out at Sting's gym in Atlanta. So I mean, okay, they're both baby faces, so there's no kayfabe being broken, but it's kind of like it. Sting and Bagwell aren't necessarily that close in storylines. It's putting them together. It is. It's breaking that fourth wall down a little bit, isn't it? And it's making this feel like real life as opposed to a wrestling show, even though we know it is a wrestling
I
show.
don't
They're,
I
they're
don't
doing a
like
good
that
job of that.
yeah, I don't like that breaking down the fourth wall cliche, especially in reference to this. For me it's adding a fifth wall, it's adding a new dimension, a new wrinkle. When you consider as you said, Sting and Bagwell, they're both baby faces. We've seen I think Sting come to the American male's aid in just like throwaway matches against the Horsemen and things like that. But
Yeah,
they have both been WCW baby faces since 1991
yeah.
when
But I
Bagwell
think,
made his
like,
debut,
yeah,
and they
but
have had
what?
interactions back then, but not a hell of a lot
Yeah, no, and I
from
think what's
93 to 96.
Yeah, and I think what's happened there is like it's rather than it's just been Sting's looking out for Bagwell because Sting's a nice bloke. They're actually mates outside of you know. It's that old like the thing they're mates outside of work kind of thing. You know what
Which
I
is
mean? It's
it's something that technically existed in canon all this time. Sting and Bagwell and maybe a few others going to the gym together, being part of the same
yeah,
social circles, but it just never had to come up on TV, and now there's a reason for it to again. So that's
yeah,
nuance. That's not breaking down the
yeah.
fourth wall. That is three-dimensional characters, and I really go to great pains to
No,
to
that's
to
a really good
separate
point.
the two
Yes.
because
No, that's
obviously
a really good point.
this
Three-dimensional
company
characters.
because
Yes.
this company had an idiot come in for the next few years afterwards to really show the difference between the two, and it helped cost us this company.
So we've got a standby match, and we've got high voltage. I can't remember who high voltage were, apart from a sort of jobber tag team against the Steiner
Kenny
brothers.
Chaos is Kenny Chaos one of them?
Let's see if I can
I want to say that's
find
the
it out. Kenny Chaos and
and Robbie
Robbie
Rage.
Rage.
They may have shown up on one other Nitro. Obviously, I mean, with your five concussions and me just having a hideous memory half the time, I'll remember the craziest things and then I'll forget the most obvious things. Not that this is particularly obvious. Um, but yeah, Kenny Chaos of funnily enough, Kenny Chaos would hold the tag titles with one of his opponents tonight.
Indeed, yes.
See, I told you I can remember some stuff. So
I'm literally just looking them up to see if they wrestled any other gimmicks, but
High
doesn't look like
voltage
it.
team have come out mugging for the camera. You know, we've got a match. This is normal. Everything's fine. Steiner brothers have come out looking like they're attending a wake, which
I
is
mean, to be
interesting.
fair, Scott Steiner wasn't very happy being a babyface at this point in
No, but
time.
he's not. He doesn't look surly. He looks genuinely distraught. Even Scott
Yes,
Steiner's selling it rather than growling and pouting.
and we're still cutting to the ambulances, people being loaded in ambulances at this time.
Yeah, they're sure they've run out of people to load into ambulances, but what do I know?
Yeah, there weren't that many people attacked, were there?
So yeah, we've got now the crowd have obviously been taken down by it all, but as you said, there's a greater good here.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, the commentary. So, and most interestingly, as the commentary just pointed out, Rick Steiner can't even bring himself to stand where he's supposed to stand, holding on to the rope, waiting for a tag. He keeps going and looking at the entranceway as if something else might go down,
Mm.
which is another great detail.
Yeah, he's doing it again now. Yeah. And the commentary is really, really subdued as well. I mean, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Obviously, it's what you want.
Mm.
They're trying to find out where Randy Savage is. because obviously they don't know. I mean, this is a mess. This is chaotic, but it's all done for a reason. And as you say, Liam, it is the greater good, because they would come out of this. This was one of the things that really made the NWO angle such a success, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. For all the things we discussed, but I do find most interesting. There's one bit that I don't think it was mentioned in the book, because I've read the book a few years ago. I should reread it. It's a great book. Um, a few years ago, I read the book. It's been a long time since I've really properly dabbled with this era of nitros, especially in the
Mhm.
manner in which we're doing it for the podcasting. And yeah, lost my train of thought.
Shivani saying, well, Shivani and Bishop are both talking about how they're afraid. They're afraid for their own safety, and they're really emphasising what Heenan was doing.
But you'll be pleased to know I did regain my train of thought if you're interested.
Excellent, go for it.
Um, or have I lost it again? What was I talking about? No,
Come
no,
on, this is
no.
worse than Sting on a pay-per-view promo.
5 concussions.
Yeah.
No. It's the interesting part of everything about this is how they have essentially sacrificed this casual tourist crowd, which normally, especially when you think of Hulk Hogan needing to make sure there's a certain amount of yellow and red shirts in the old era,
Mm.
these sort of crowds were very beneficial to them.
Mm.
And they've gone completely against the grain for them. And to make matters worse, they started them off by giving them an 8-minute Jim Duggan match, just to really, you know, just misery after misery for this poor bunch of casual fans.
Jeez, I don't know if that's rage or chaos, but he kind of nearly landed on his head off the top rope because Rick Steiner didn't really catch him on a power slam.
Steiner opponent being dumped on their head. Yep.
Yeah.
Check that off your bingo cards, ladies and gentlemen.
Tilt-a-whirl slam and a little bit of a response to the crowd by Scott Steiner.
He's starting to get more fired up in this. He was slightly more into the match than Rick was, slightly more, but obviously he's
Yep.
building up. He was the one who told Rick to get your head in the game when he was keeping an eye on the entranceway. So they are starting to get back to work now, you could say,
Mm.
which is believable, because you're in there, you're very much at risk. You know, you're trying to win a match for your livelihood. You're gonna lose yourself in what you're there to do in the first place, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got to keep one eye on the job in hand, I suppose.
Yeah. And we still got this makeshift. Is this a screwdriver coming up?
Yeah, Steiner
Steiner,
square
oh
driver.
my God, he
Yeah, that
landed
looks awful.
vertical.
That looks such a. I mean, admittedly, he has got Scott Steiner's legs either side of his head, but it still
That might
doesn't
be the
look
best
nice.
screwdriver I've seen. I hope he's okay with that, because he landed dead vertical. That was amazing.
That was just brutal. That finish was brutal. At what point do you think of that move? Oh, I'll start with a suplex and end by dropping them on their head like a pile driver from
Someone
all the
should do
way up
that.
there.
Someone else should do it, but not as a transition move. Gonna get the replays here. Hopefully, get the. Oh man, that
Jesus
Steiner line.
Christ.
That was more brutal than the pole driver.
I think so. Oh, here. Well, in case you're not sure, here's the pile driver in slow motion.
That
Oh,
actually
he
looked
did have
really
his arm. He did
safe.
have his hands. Yeah, he did
That
have his
was
hands.
that was an incredible professional wrestling move.
But even so, that has such a risk of going wrong.
Absolutely. Not many people would agree to take that. But then if you offered a rare TV spot, you kind of got to, didn't you?
Yeah. So, lads, good news. You're getting a match on Nitro. No, the live Nitro. You're against the Steiners. bad news is they want to drop you on your head at the
The
end.
the bad news is you're up against the Steiners.
The last ambulance has just departed. I've literally got no idea who else they could possibly have loaded in to the ambulance, unless like some old bloke in the crowd's had a stroke.
But I want to know where's Mike Awesome? If there's an ambulance on WCW TV, where's Mike Awesome?
Probably in Japan at this point in time.
I know, it was a joke.
I'm sorry. In case you've just joined us, it's been a clusterfuck. Half of WCW's left in ambulances. An exaggeration, but in wrestling terms, we'll let them get away with that. I like that turn of phrase.
Yeah.
So, we've just had confirmed that Ric Flair will be defending the US title against Eddie Guerrero at Hog Wild.
It's kind of, if now you think about it, because they did mention this on previous episodes, but it does kind of give away the fact that that cruiserweight title match was probably never going to happen. So like, it's ruined his chance to go into the US title match as the cruiserweight champions. Like, yeah, that will never happen until Lance Storm shows up.
And they're
Penn's
even announcing it as a standby
yeah, I was
contest.
going to say. But we love Penn's. He's great at his job, and not just because he's a friend of the podcast, but it helps.
Yeah. So we've got Big Bubba. Is he still? He's not. He's not carrying any hair. He's not holding a bucket
No,
of
that I
John
mean,
Tent's hair.
within 48 hours, he lost convincingly to John Tenter again, and he got beaten up by New World Order. So I think he's definitely onto new things. But it's a little bit
Yeah.
weird because I thought he would have been a great choice to fill up the numbers of New World Order because he fits the profile.
Yeah.
He's as he would later also show with the Bossman run in WWE. He kind of mastered the art of just being an absolute sleazy shit ass heel.
Mm.
Even if his in ring abilities were diminishing, he could play an absolute fucker.
Indeed. Yes.
So it's weird
The
that he
stuff
didn't
with
recruit him.
the Big Show springs to mind. So
Exactly.
here's Eddie Guerrero. Very different opponent. So we never did find out what babyface Eddie Guerrero against Rey Mysterio would be like, because it's babyface Eddie Guerrero against Big Bubba, and everyone involved in the match looked quite subdued.
Yep. I'm kind of glad I went to this sight unseen. I feel like I've enhanced the whole thing by being
Yeah.
innocent. Because I knew
No,
that episode was
definitely.
coming up soon. I didn't realise this soon. I should have, but I didn't.
Well, they said we were going to a commercial break the moment they got in the ring, but they seem to have killed a bit of time because the bell rang as the match went, or the broadcast went back to air.
Yeah. As you said, we've got and Bubba's being the proper heel here. We've got more of a traditional thing. Maybe this will win the crowd back a little bit, and they seem up for it. They're not completely gone. They definitely got a bit frustrated by that long gap.
And Guerrero's drop kicked Bubba to the outside, and he's going to do a dive to the floor, but looks like he's changed his mind. But do you know what's also interesting here is like what you've got in these two people, where the people that they've chosen to keep for the show. They've got two guys here who can have a match with anyone.
Yeah.
So putting this supposed impromptu standby match together, it feels believable as a match where they would be like, right, who have we still got on the show that hasn't been attacked? Who can have a who could wrestle anyone? Oh, these guys. It's whatever kind of level you look at it at. Whatever it makes sense.
Yeah, because
It's
Bubba
really,
might not be
really
able
good
to
little detail.
go. He might not be able to go full tempo with Eddie Guerrero, but he's obviously he knows his way around the ring.
Yeah,
Guerrero can do the
and
babyface stuff. It's very similar to that Guerrero Barbarian match. Do you remember?
definitely. Yeah, I was going to say this is going to be another example of Eddie Guerrero facing a very different opponent to the people that you typically associate him with. And it's things like this as well. Having a match with a Barbarian, having a match with Big Bubba, that probably was the foundations of the world title run he had in the WWE, where he had to face all people of all sizes and
Oh
put
yeah,
on a
he
decent round
absolutely.
match.
Yeah, I mean he was well travelled before this, and then he's gone and got like even more experience in a completely different way with some of these.
Yeah, and with Bubba, Boss Man, whatever you want to call him, like we've said about Meng in the past, never was out of a job. He went from place to place, but as soon as he left one company, he was picked up by another company,
Absolutely.
whether that was WWE, WCW, All Japan.
And Harry, even New Japan and AEW are having him show up. Obviously, mostly to second his sons who wrestle.
Oh, Haku, you mean? Yes. Sorry, I was thinking Bubba Rogers is dead. But
No.
yes, you mean Haku, I'm with you. But yeah, they're very much in the same mold.
Yeah, it's the thing is that there's a ceiling to this match as far as how, not to say anything on like their wrestling situation, but under the circumstance of the show, and this is what we call a cold match as well. No
Yeah.
build, no storyline, etc., etc. So there's only so far it can go, but they're gonna eat some time, I'm guessing, unless they've got something else prepped, storyline wise.
Maybe they do. I mean, yeah, we've got about what 20 minutes, just over 25 minutes in the broadcast.
Yeah, he's clawing away at the. I was gonna say clawing away at the moustache, but it's just a general mouth area. Can't mess with that
Yeah,
moustache. It's godlike.
the moustache and mullet, the classic combo.
Even in 1996.
Yeah, good commentary from Zabisco, just talking about how Bubba is taking Eddie's speed away because at the moment he's got him grounded in a chin lock. He's now gone into a body scissors, which is obviously gonna take away the breath and the energy. So it's a match that makes sense.
Crowd are getting into it though.
Yeah, and this it's a testament to both of them because it's, as you said, it's a cold match. It's now a pretty cold crowd because they've been left waiting for something to happen for so long.
Well, they got the Steiner screwdriver. To be fair, what more they want,
They
the spoilt bastards.
they want candy floss, cotton candy. That's what they want. And those three empty seats in the front row are still unoccupied.
Well, at least that speculation in now because we've surely had the New World Order's
Yeah,
contribution.
I think so. And also talk about the impact that Hall and Nash were on the screen for what a minute, and look how important this moment was.
It also
It
it
get
renders that Saturday night footage of the sneak attack on Sting completely irrelevant and moot, doesn't it?
mm,
Like, didn't even need that.
no, it was almost I guess a precursor to it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they didn't need it.
Oh, bear hug slam, good stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, they're dragging this one out. It's not bad. It's not as bad as Duggan versus Enos, to be sure, but they're eating this up a bit.
Yeah. And you get the feeling there's going to be an Eddie comeback at some point because Bubba has dominated the match.
Bischoff says national news are calling, wondering what happened.
I thought Guerrero had won that then. I was going to say, just as I said that he wins the match, but yeah, it was a small package. But yeah, I like the idea that CNN or someone would. But I suppose CNN might be calling, as in, what the fuck are you doing with our TV show? But you know,
Ah, the small package theme, one of the many answers we got right on the all-out pub quiz. Won by
yeah,
myself, yourself, Doug Williams, and celebrity mastermind winner Adam Pearson. We may have
what a team!
we may have been a bit top heavy there.
What a team! The team of because AEW as we're called for the night.
Was it fair? Who cares? We are the champions.
Does that mean we have to defend our title at the next
Survivor
pay-per-view
Series.
party?
It'll be an
No,
elimination
an
quiz.
AEW party, surely.
No, Survivor Series because we're a team of 4.
Ah,
Come on,
strive
man.
to survive.
Yeah, teams of 4 strive to survive. See, the original marketing was 5-on-5, wasn't it? It's been a
Ah,
bit of both ever
yes.
since. Teams of 5 strive to survive.
I feel there's one too many rhymes in there.
No, there can never be too many rhymes. Don't be daft.
Okay.
Well, if I knew it was that
This match.
simple, I'd have told you to not be daft years ago. This is a
This
long
match
rest
is
hold,
going.
by the way. I'm glad we've managed to
Yeah.
change the subject because we are veering into negativity territory.
Well, just look. This match does go nearly 11 minutes.
Just Ray Trailer sucking the life out of it.
So yeah, what do we say here? We've just got Big Bubba laying down on the ground with a chin lock on Eddie Guerrero. But hey, to Guerrero's credit, the crowd are chanting Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. So
That's true, but Zabisco just defended Bubba's strategy by saying he's not playing beat the clock, he's playing beat the punk. I like that.
Eddie goes for a crossbody block. He's caught and slammed to the canvas by Big Bubba.
Yeah,
Surely this is going to be wrapped up soon.
hopefully. It's diminishing returns a bit. These two could have a good 8-minute match. But obviously Bubba needed to lay on the canvas for a little while.
Tornado DDT from Guerrero, and that's got the crowd going.
Oh, that was still such a cool move in the mid-90s. I mean, I'll pop for a Tornado DDT now. But in the mid-90s, that was one of the best moves.
And Guerrero went to go for a Hurricane Rana and didn't quite make it. They covered themselves, tried again, and now he's got
Backfired.
a sunset flip. Yeah, interference with a megaphone backfires, as you say.
The man that
Guerrero,
just got decisively beaten 400 times by John Tenta with half his hair intact. Did he really need to be protected against a man who's about to face Ric Flair for the US title? That's the thing there. It weren't a terrible match, but there's a lot you can shit on there, isn't there? Even under the circumstances.
and there also looks to be tension between Big Bubba and Jimmy Hart. And this isn't really the night. Look, Jimmy Hart just looks like he's not interested.
I mean, he tried to do his best with the interference, but yeah, you're right.
But yeah, you do have to wonder in the storyline how much longer Big Bubba wants to stick around with Jimmy Hart. It's not been going well.
Yeah, he really should have joined the NWO.
I mean, if Jimmy Hart was a football manager and his team was Big Bubba, surely he'd be getting chance of you getting sacked in the morning.
Give it Heen until end of season. No, I thought that was great.
Give it
Just
heat till the
clearly
end of
not
the season.
appreciated here.
Sorry,
No, you're not.
I was just trying to process it and thinking, yeah, Heenan is Neil Warnock.
Yeah, they always say like
So,
give it insert manager name here till end of season.
oh, we have a New World Order paid promo.
Oh, good of Hogan to show up. This is the first one, isn't it?
Yes. And Scott Hall used the word Chicos.
Just to put the boot in.
Yeah.
Our
Hogan
own
is she.
corporation. That's the first. Well, obviously the announcement's paid for, and they talk about a corporation. So really hinting that they've got serious backing that enables them to do this.
Yeah. That the fact that they're talking about a fourth man. Yeah. This is dropping the hint that the NWO is going to expand.
Hollywood
Ho-
Hogan quoting Humpty Dumpty. I'm here for that. I've got all time in the world for that. Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Who's going to be fourth? Who's going to be five? Yeah. And they've said, is it going to be basically, is it going to be someone in WCW already, or is it going to be someone from the outside?
And this is again, this goes back to Guy Evans' book, how they really go in depth about the rough cut producing of these segments. They just jump from one thought to another. There's no cohesion whatsoever, on by design, on purpose. It's really
Mm.
contemporary stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And the voiceover from Neil Pruitt, the following announcement, paid for by the New World Order.
Well,
Oh,
Hogan's
Hogan's
almost
still
forgot
going.
something. Oh, yep, title match reminder.
Yeah. So Hogan talking about the fact that he could become the WCW champion in a couple of weeks' time.
Well, I mean, regardless of his allegiance, if Hogan's changing for the title, he's probably going to win it. So some things
Yeah.
do stay the same.
Yes. He finds it quite ironic that WCW could be so weak to beg, to plead, to cry out to the giant.
Well, you actually, he
Oh,
said
he's
the
their last hope.
WCW.
The WCW, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so people give Bret Hart stick for that. It turns out it's contagious. The
Yeah.
WCW.
So they're now portraying the giant as WCW's last hope.
Well, I mean, it makes sense to a certain extent because he has been portrayed as just unstoppable. But this is
Yes.
still a throwaway title match at a few weeks' notice. It's not really come across as that much of a thing. It's kind of
It
just a
was,
bit of
yeah.
business they need to take care of. And it's a shame for
It
the
was
Giant.
odd. Yeah, it was odd. As in, why, why would you give Hulk Hogan, a man who hasn't wrestled a match in months and is now part of this organization trying to destroy WCW? Why would you give him a title match?
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense. But hey, again, I'm probably putting too much thought into a wrestling angle.
Yeah, I mean, as we've shown, there is plenty that can be nitpicked, but when things, as AEW is showing right now, when things are in the bigger picture are going great, you can ride those little nitpicks. And when the overall bigger picture is bleak, those little nitpicks end up becoming mountains.
Yeah. So that was quite a long segment, but I guess it was paid for. So
Yeah,
Bischoff has left the broadcast position. And again, lifting the veil a little bit there, just said that they've just said that Bischoff is also the executive producer of Nitro, and he's got executive producer type things to get on with here.
yeah, particularly under circumstances, because if it weren't for what happened, it would be Bischoff and Heenan commentating business as usual. So for the
Yeah,
first time, we find ourselves pretty much with a Schiavone Zabisco entirety broadcast team, where
mm.
with the exception of Bischoff joining them for a little bit.
And we have some crew member, and then a refreshment seller getting right in the camera shot,
Yeah, just wandering past.
realizing she was in the way, and going whoops, and walking off again.
So it looks like we got
Okay,
gone.
so I was going to say Shivani's just talking about the paid announcement, talking about the NWO, talking about their intentions in WCW.
Yeah, it feels like there's time for one more match looking at the broadcast. Although
Yeah,
we're going to more clips now. We're just gonna relive it.
yeah, and this also, I guess, this also explains why we had such a big match on so early in the show. So yeah, we're just getting the closing moments of the match with Jimmy Hart doing his nut, saying about there's a problem.
Which was that was, I mean, that alone was really cool, wasn't it? That really leapt off the page, especially when
Yeah.
going through your mind is his backstory with Lex Luger, etc., etc. He's done business with Ric Flair and the Horsemen, so they're all trying to fight each other in what was a heat. It was a good match, wasn't it? It was a heated match, and
Mm.
suddenly Jimmy Hart showed up, and they're like, "What are you doing here?"
So we've got that's. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see at what point. At what point Rey Mysterio intervenes, and also, yeah, Scotty Riggs. Scotty Riggs was hit with an empty water cooler bottle and had to go to hospital for that. Apparently,
No wonder Marcus turned on him and joined the NWO.
yeah.
Yeah, the early doors took which was Bagwell and Arn took several baseball bat shots. The lawn dart looked
Mm.
amazing and really destructive, and Scotty Riggs basically got grazed by empty plastic.
Yeah.
So a very familiar theme is striking up, one that's belonged to many a wrestler. So I don't know who's
Mm.
coming out. But it looks like we
Well,
are
it's
getting a main event of some design.
yeah. It's
Maybe
the
with the
Hollywood
Giant.
Blondes.
That's Greg the Hammer Valentine coming out. Will he face the Giant? Because the Giant was scheduled to wrestle Arn Anderson. And
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero, who was scheduled to wrestle, had a replacement.
So
And they've got to
it's
put
going to
someone
be
decent in the main event slot regardless, haven't they? They
yeah.
can't end with Greg Valentine versus Dick Slater.
Well, they've just said that Greg Valentine is taking on Anson's place. So I'm
Here we go.
guessing that
Yeah.
Valentine is challenging for the world title.
I mean, surely if you have a world title match and the change has to be replaced, you drop the title. It has to be non-title in a normal world. I don't know.
Mm. Oh, now Zabisco's having a go at Hayden. He was never the bravest manager in the world, bravest person in the world.
Well, even then, he kind of said it diplomatically and relatively gently. Like he was, he was never a blood and guts kind of guy, which is kind of true, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is Zabisco's MO to make himself sound far more manly than everyone else.
And I don't know if you've seen any recent photos of Greg Valentine, but he basically looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
He hasn't changed.
hasn't aged
Now,
since '86.
I don't know if that's because he looks about 30 years, 40 years older than he really was in 86. So he's now just caught up with nature.
Well, that's the key to it, isn't it? Get to age 45 in your 20s, and then you're set.
Yeah. We have a beautiful close up of a full moon while we come back from the break. Now, if we're putting the giant across as this unstoppable monster, as experienced as Greg Valentine is, this match shouldn't last very long.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're building to the pay-per-view still. He should crush him and then say, "I'm gonna get revenge on the New World Order." There you go. You got your big pay-per-view match.
With a rushed and illogical main event. We haven't done Hog Wild 96, have we?
Yeah, when someone wants it, we'll do it. There's quite a few. We're running shy on the early '90s because they all love the early '90s, but get some guests on, cover some of the other pay-per-views. We've got a list of what remains. Looking forward to doing them.
Yeah. So Valentine just went for about 2 or 3 clotheslines, which the giant barely sold. Then the giant laid Valentine out with a clothesline of his own, and now Giant's in charge, choking Valentine in the corner with his boot to the throat.
Schiavone's really
And
putting over the Giant as well.
yeah, and Greg Valentine going to the top rope, which isn't something you see often, but he's come down with an axe handle and just wobbled the Giant.
I was adamant that was going to be a goozle, but here we go. Second, he went to the well basically, and the
And
Giant
he's getting this crowd into it.
with his size and his
I mean,
agility, he's going to add another choke slam, I think. With his size and his intensity and his agility, he's doing the business here. And when they had him join the New World Order a few weeks later, they'd soon realise the error of their ways. Because I know he's got certain heel components, but he can absolutely oppose the New World Order. And he's a
mm,
WCW original at this point as well, so he absolutely should.
yeah, it didn't make sense to me that he joined.
And he's warning Hogan via the camera. With their backstory as well, obviously on a role reversal, that plays into it as well.
Mm,
Squash City.
that wasn't even 2 minutes, was it?
No,
But
nor
it's
should.
exactly what you wanted.
Exactly.
So, we're going to Mean Gene at the end.
So here's that big promo we're getting.
Where Giant doesn't seem to be selling what's happened much.
But then he's just
So
a
yeah,
he's a weapon of mass destruction, to be fair.
yeah, yeah. So this is July 29th, and the pay per view's August the 10th. So we're basically talking a couple of weeks away, aren't we? Oh,
He's he just aped Hogan's old promos.
ah, I wanted to show how easy it is to fall into that con trap. So he's basically saying that, yeah, that Hogan conned America.
Yeah, he said Hogan told everyone what they wanted to hear. Which is true, actually. You think about it. Think of the bigger, faster, stronger culture. Have you seen that documentary?
No.
Recommended the image-based 80s. I have to dig you up a link.
Okay. That's great. He never believed it himself. Johnson, he's beaten the finest athletes in the world in WCW. He has. He's pretty much faced all the top stars, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's an interesting going into it without knowing what's going on. It's an interesting match, but it's Hogan and the angle is hot, so you kind of know where it's going.
Yes.
A chokeslam
I
noose that's going to fit around his neck. I like that.
I just think they could have done something a bit more where, like, Hogan's demanding a title shot and is essentially holding WCW to ransom by doing different stuff
Absolutely.
each
They
time.
could have easily knocked something up along those lines. You're right.
One day Jimmy Hart will have to pay for the things he's done.
Yeah. So, well,
And
considering he betrayed Hogan to side with a giant, you've got to try. You've got to be eyes wide open with that whole thing, haven't you?
yeah. And we're just getting the another replay and a slow motion of the Rey Mysterio lawn dart gimmick. And yeah, he was in a trailer basically. So how he knew there were four people, I don't know, unless he was looking out a window. But hey,
That should have been Scotty Riggs. Well, I mean, Scotty Riggs came a little late, but he could do it where if he's going to be the one that takes relative less damage, he doesn't get loaded into an ambulance. He gets seen by a trainer, but he's around to say there was
yeah,
someone else. I didn't catch him. Yeah, he's little
yeah,
little
didn't see
dazed
who it
from a
was.
shot to
Yeah,
the head, but not bad enough to be hospitalised. And he says there was four, but there weren't even three. Hogan couldn't be bothered.
couldn't be asked. He was making a movie probably.
This is Lance Storm, and if I can be serious for a minute, you're listening to Because WCW.
Well, I mean, what would you say to that episode? Is it a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for you? What are you thinking?
So I'll tell a little bit of a side story here quickly. During the run while I was overseeing the Hooked on Wrestling website for 12 or so months, one of our reviewers he was doing retro reviews and he recapped I think it might have been during Nitro Week because obviously it's a pivotal episode,
Yeah,
and he reviewed this and he was quite brass tacks about that dead air, the slow pace of it, the fact that most of the matches aren't actually that good. I did enjoy the six man that ends in chaos. Uh, Guerrero versus Big Bubba could have been a bit better, but just dragged on. Giant squashing someone's fine, and I did love the silent screwdriver, admittedly. But yeah, it's a sum of the parts thing where they've really just turned thing on their head and gone really cutting edge, and that's the way you got to look at this.
mm.
And it's like that little anecdote we said to a friend of ours was where we have these nitros we watch where we go back through it match by match and we're like, well, that match was okay, that match was crap, that match was crap, that match was a bit disappointing, that match was okay. What did you think of the show? I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's how this is, and this is must watch, even with all this time in the future. It's a very important for any wrestling fan. It's a very important episode to watch, and there's a lot to enjoy, even if you do have to endure some things that were sacrificed for the greater good.
I absolutely. I think yeah, it's definitely a sacrifice worth making because yeah, if you watch that show as a one-off, as a complete, just as a one-off TV show, it's awful because you've got, as you said, you've got all this dead air, you've got all this time that just nothing's happening and the crowd are chanting boring. But yeah, some of the parts are like, yeah, you look at this over the course of time and what it did to that angle and what it did for WCW, that was an incredibly brave bit of broadcasting and it absolutely paid off.
Yeah, it's you've got, if you're a wrestling fan, you've got to watch this episode. Some of you guys might have watched it along with us. Some of you guys just endure or even skip these episodes. That's fair enough. But yeah, this is, and I don't like the term must watch. This is a must watch episode. This is what the WWE Network is here for. Is
Yes,
going back to particular episodes like this. If you don't have time to do what we're doing and exhaustively going episode up by episode, week after week, seek this one out for absolute certain.
definitely. Right. That brings us to an end of this one. As I said at the top of the show, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can find us at Because WCW or on Facebook.com/Because WCW. Next week is our 4th birthday. Believe it or not, we started this in September 2017. We will be 4, and to celebrate, as well as having lots of cake, Liam,
Lots
we
of cake.
are lots of cake. We are having an interview with a very special guest, not a WCW alumnus like Lance Storm, something from very much, I guess, the opposite end of the WCW spectrum, but I'm sure it's going to be a fascinating guest. So I won't say any more than that, but I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure you are, Liam.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what I will add on top of that, again, not much, but while he's not WCW alumni, he's very well known in a WCW context. There'll be more on that next week. We're looking forward to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, I'm off to watch some WCW tag team title changes. Till next week, this is me, the Twisted Genius, on behalf of Liam, saying thanks for listening, and I'll see you ringside.